Hi, everyone. This is Debbie. In Australia, apparently, there was a power outage. And so we were ready to cancel the broadcast when David chimed in that he needed about 10 minutes. The power was back on. So we are kind of waiting for him to pop in, and then I'll bring him into the broadcast. I haven't heard anything from him for about 6 minutes, but he needed about 10 minutes to get ready. So I imagine you never know when there's going to be lights out, no electricity. And so it's happening there in Australia where he lives. If you guys are on here, I see there's some people. Just say hi. What's going on with you guys today? So let's see. This is the time to tell you that you guys can get a hold of David. In the description, it tells where you can get a hold of him for free consultations. Of course, he's educated in all these great things, modes of healing and things like that, and different kinds of counseling. If you guys know David, you know that he's worked all over the world in the most wonderful resorts, all top notch places. And so he has a lot of experience. Now, he's been off because, and please congratulate him, he got another master's degree. So he got to fly out to another city and receive his degree and spend some time out there. So he is back, but as I said, the electricity went out. Oh, hi, Erica. You say, crossing your fingers for us. Yeah, we're hoping that he comes on. I'm going to double check to see if he sent me another message. No, I don't see one. So anyway, he had a lovely, wonderful time when he went to get his degree and got caught up with his mentors, his teachers, and everyone. So he's excited to be back. It just is one of those things that happen when you lose the electricity. So we could talk about other people also that are on psychic fixes. Kit Adams is doing readings, and she is doing different kinds of sites, and her YouTube channel is, I think it's Mystic Souls. If someone knows it different, you can let me know. Hi, Amantha. Hi, Kim. Hi, Stu. So, anyway, we're waiting for David to be able to come in and get electricity is restored and get everything turned on. So, anyway, let's see. Have you guys caught Lady T? She is our dream interpreter, and she does live shows on Psychic Fixes. Always fun to find out what's in your head at night. She could tell you what your dreams were about. Okay. Anything interesting happened to anybody lately? I'm usually the one that's talking paranormal things, about ghosts and Wiccan things, how you can make spells and different things like that. But I'm happy to produce the show for David. Okay. Let me check again to see if he said anything. I'm going to message him right now. Make sure, you know how sometimes you lose electricity and then it's restored, then it goes away again. And that could be what's going on because he meant to be in here by now. Um, you guys have any questions for me? Might as well. Kim, you were on SD Spooky Adventures. Janine and I are on Sundays, and we have had a lot of fun talking about Hat Man. Totally different than David's show, right? And paranormal activity that we encounter. And Kim, you have a lot of it. Some people grow up in or live in haunted houses. So Kim has a lot of experience. Erica, you said you bought abundant salt. Actually, I don't know what abundant salt is, Erica. Is that for prosperity? Is it have an intention set on it? And my thought of what I do is I set intentions on everything. I exclusively use salt for protection. Okay, kind of to soak up negative energies. I have on YouTube on Psychic Fix's channel, I have a video on how to use salt and how to dispose of it. Okay, we talked about lamps before. People asked me about them, and I said they're fine. They're great for healing. And I said, but I wouldn't use one. I wouldn't have one in my house because you have to understand it is something that's usually used to um, uh, take away things, take away energy, clearing, and things like that. And so when we're taking things away, we can also take away some of our psychic ability. Some of that energy can go. And I don't use salt unless I am using protections. If somebody took salt and they put an intention on it, then you should have it wherever you can. You have to be careful of cats and pets and children when you're using salt. But guess who's here? There's David. I'm going to bring him in. And here we go. Hi, David. You're live. We've been
Hello.
chatting. I will let you go back to your show, and I will sign off later for you. Okay.
Oh,
Have a
thank you.
have
I'm
a
so
good show.
sorry today. There's been some power issues, and I've just been moving things around everywhere, moving this, moving that, and whatever I was doing that wasn't working. So it was just taking a long time. So I think I found the culprit was the kettle. I know not everyone knows what a kettle is, but they're very popular in Australia. But that seemed to just continually shut the power down. But it seems to be working. The Wi-Fi is back on, so we're back connected. I had a really busy week last week, and I was over in Sydney, and I went to my graduation. I'm just catching up on the comments, so thanks everyone for being there. And Debbie, let's just see if Debbie's there. Yeah, so I was over in Sydney, and so it's just been very busy for me. And the graduation was actually amazing. It was really very special, and I met lots of students that I hadn't met before. I'd met from Zoom, so we did a lot of Zoom classes, and then I was meeting students in real life. So that was amazing. And it's a Buddhist university, so I got to stay at the temple and explore, take many pictures of the temple and the pagoda and calligraphy and the arts exhibition, the art and the so many things. And I'm just going to message Stu. Thank you. I'm just catching up on the comments. I see you, Stu and Kim. Erica Bird, Erica Mantha Erica Bird. I bought abundant salt. Any tips for using it? And Kim is asking about paranormal experiences. Australia has UFOs. Yeah, it's a very big country, and people don't really. A lot of people don't really realize that it's a continent. It's regarded as a continent, and if you can imagine the United States and you imagine sort of what is it? Maybe it's 7% of the American population, so it's like 80% of the land mass, but 7% of the population of America. So it's a lot of land, different to America, where you have a lot of states. Yeah, I think we have five states. So very big states like Western Australia and Queensland. I think those are the biggest. And Western Australia is half of Australia virtually. It's very, very big. So you imagine like, I don't know, half of all your states being one state. And the population of Western Australia is 2 million. So that just gives you some context to work with when we talk about Australia, because a lot of people just think, oh, you just someone's in Australia, you can go meet them, and you're like, it's not really like that. If I don't just go and meet someone. I got a message from someone, and they said, "Oh, can you meet my friend?" And then I look, where's your friend? And they were in, a different state, and it would take me half the day to travel there, or something like that. I mean, it's not just it's a big country, and so the graduation was at the Buddhist university. It was really special, and I stayed at the temple. There's a bridge, so essentially you have the university here and the temple here, and a bridge in between. So I kept crossing that bridge to go between the two buildings. They're very beautiful. It's very, very beautifully designed. It's really special to be there. And I'll share some pictures on Facebook. I just get busy, and then what happens is the stuff that happened last week gets pushed aside because I kind of move on to new pictures or something, and so I'm often not sharing so many photos of mine just because I get busy, and it takes time to share photos. Maybe I'll go back on Instagram. I used to be more active on Instagram. I think I just had time to share more pictures, and it was more something I was dedicated to. Now I'm busy with other things. And Kim, thank you. You're here, so that's great. Kim, what's happening with you? You were asking about UFOs, so let's think about UFOs. Yeah, there's a lot of UFOs floating around, and a lot of meteors, a lot of satellites that are flying around, many satellites, and debris. How do you say that word? Debris. Stuff that's just junk, space junk. So human beings have had a habit traditionally of making a lot of mess, whether it's in the ocean or in the sky, in the universe out there, in space. We've had a habit of just leaving stuff and just making a mess and just thinking, I don't know who's going to come and clean up all the junk. But they just thought, oh, well, it's a lot of space. We can just throw a lot of garbage in it. So there's a lot of garbage up in space, unfortunately. And that means there's a lot of flying objects, because I'm always seeing flying objects, shooting stars. There is a lot, because if you go in remote regions of Australia, there's only a few big cities in Australia, so there's a lot of areas that are more remote, and you can really see the stars. You can look up and just see so many stars, this abundant sky filled with stars. I've had one experience with a UFO, which was a very it's a very vivid experience of a UFO, and let me know in the comments if you've seen some UFOs or a UFO, or if you've had experiences, because some people have had really amazing experiences. I have a couple of friends they're brothers, and they had an alien, they had a UFO alien visit them when they were kids, and they've grown up. They grew up with this experience of this. Both of them had it together, so it wasn't like you could think, oh, maybe one was having a vision or having some kind of mental episode. They both saw the and welcome, Carlos, and thanks for your beautiful comments. They both had this incident of this UFO landing and meeting this alien. I don't think they engaged too much with it. I think they were pretty frightened. They were pretty scared. But they both said it changed their outlook on the world as something. Whatever you see is something very different to what the media feed you. So I think they didn't trust the media, both of them, and they kind of explore alternative pathways, see the world in a different way. So it's interesting to have that experience as a child, because just the way our reality is constructed by education, teachers, schools, universities, it's often very boxed in. Everything seems like this. like you can't move. And the actual reality is much more abundant and much more interesting, really, because you think of these technologies that are out there in the universe, and that they're able to come and visit this planet, and they've been visiting this planet for thousands and thousands of years. And you just think of the technologies that we, like the pyramids, that we don't understand, because they don't come from this planet, they don't come from this world. So we had a lot of visitations and a lot of technologies throughout our history. And my particular experience with the UFO, it was maybe 3 years ago, 2020, and I just saw a huge spaceship, and it had lots of colors. I remember red, green. I remember red, green. That was the strongest colors. I think there was yellow and orange, but very bright colors. And the sky lit up. And I was in a car, and I wasn't driving the car, so I kind of had this moment where I was looking up, whereas the person driving, she saw the light. There was just a strong light that entered the car. So she was like, what's that? What's that light? And then she was kind of looking back on the road, whereas I was, what's that light? What's that light? And then looking up, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a spaceship. So it wasn't something that I experienced alone, because it was a very strong, very powerful light. So, and I wasn't alone. So I think it always helps if you're not alone, because then you have someone to corroborate, to back you up, and to be like, yeah, I saw that light. That definitely, there was a light. It was like the car just filled with this light, and then the spaceship kind of just kind of flew away. It happened in a few seconds, and then it was gone. So that's my UFO experience. In terms of otherworldly or energies, or in terms of relating with other worlds, I do have I do have connection, or it's not connection. I do have experience with energies more. There was a particular time in my life when it was very very potent experience with a type of poltergeist, a type of disincarnate entity, and a lot of the traditions, they work with these kind of energies, and they speak of these kind of energies which have not crossed over. They haven't moved on to the heavenly realms, or they're stuck in this planet Earth. They kind of haven't been able to let go, and by choice they're sticking around. And this was definitely a strange character, and it happened over a period of about 3 or 4 weeks, and ultimately it became clear that this entity was, I don't know if the word's possessing, it was definitely connected to someone I knew. And so whenever I was spending time with us, we were doing camping counselors, so we were working together and actually living together, staying together. So this ultimately, it became clear that this was attached to him, and so constantly it was, because I was there, it was coming into my space and doing things. It went on. It was quite a saga, because it went on for 3 or 4 weeks. But ultimately, he went back to New York. This person I was working with, Stephen, and Stephen went back to New York, and so that kind of left, that it kind of was no longer part of my reality. But it was a very strange few weeks, a little bit troubling in a way, because it was constantly playing the fool, but it was very, very silly. So a lot of these entities are quite childish, very immature. They're just not very evolved, so they haven't gone towards the light and crossed over. They've often been traumatized and can't let go of this planet. And so they just sort of disembodied and stuck here and not letting go. So it can be a little bit strange and a bit troubling in a way. Um, and this one would just sort of tap people on the shoulder, and it was constantly throwing things around. You would just have forks that would just fly off the table and hit the wall even, but nothing actually threatening or dangerous, just very silly things like throwing sugar around and harmless things, but just maybe a bit annoying, but harmless. So we had this experience of this energy poltergeist. It would fold my clothes. It would write notes. It would what else did it do? Just turn on lights. It liked toothbrushes. It would make a sculpture every day. So I would wake up and there would be this toothpaste mounted on the toothbrush, and there would always be some kind of sculptural thing going on, which was very unusual, very strange in a way. But ultimately, that was hot chocolate and marshmallow. I think for the ghost stories, we need some hot chocolate and marshmallows. I agree. And in terms of the questions about astronauts, seeing them, yeah, I do believe that the moon mission that they did have unidentified flying objects accompanying them, watching them, because a lot of these other cultures are very curious. They're watching, seeing what we're doing, and they're particularly active around our military installations and our nuclear installations, because there's a bit of definitely a concern, maybe a fear, a concern that something is going to happen. So they're watching us. They're just kind of making sure things are under control, because they don't want us to destroy the planet and break, because we're connected to the whole universe. So it could be quite a destructive event within the context of the universe. We do seem to view ourselves as isolated, but of course we're not isolated. There's a complex web of a web of energies, cosmic energies, and we're part of that web. So it's like in the ocean, or just a cup of water. If you throw salt in a cup of water, it affects the whole water. So the same way, if we are lighting up nuclear bombs or nuclear missiles, it's going to affect that whole the subtle connections between those structures in the universe, and it's going to affect that whole the whole universe. So that's why they're concerned. They watch over the nuclear installations. They just want to make sure nothing goes wrong. There are no accidents. There's nothing. We don't do anything too crazy. But we do a lot of crazy things, and this is a free will planet. So they're watching over us, but they're allowing for free will. So they won't just be intervening unless they really have to. And there are times when they have intervened, but that is to help us and save us. So they subtly influence things in the background. However, they're not going to announce their presence sort of on the White House lawn. But there's lots of info on YouTube, and there's lots of interviews of the moon, the astronauts who went to the moon. There's lots of interviews, and they talk about being accompanied by a light, by a ship, or by a UFO. So that's pretty well documented that there was a UFO that accompanied that particular spaceship. If I find any good documentaries, I'll share them. That would be really interesting. And how's everyone going? It's been quite a year. It's the energies are a little bit frayed at the surfaces. Um, and so we're here to integrate the energies. We're here to love ourselves and love each other, and shift the patterning. For me, to accept more abundance, more love into my life, and the idea of stepping into something is to live as if it's already happened. So I think manifesting is really an interesting topic. And Melanie, they went to the moon, and Amantha Varga, interesting. They went to the moon. Good question, Melanie. I wasn't there at the time, so that maybe that could be a good show. Did they go to the moon? And it's always interesting to speculate, because we used to trust the government and the media, but now we just cannot trust them at all. They just feed us such nonsense and lies, and things that are just not they're not the full truth. And we get these narratives that are just very black and white often, and not actually giving you the actual, the actual context. So I think I mentioned the Ukraine war is a good example, but there's many other examples where the media feeds you a very biased, one-dimensional narrative that doesn't put it into context. Because generally things are occurring in a quite a complex way, where there's so many different factors. You know what? They question everything. Yeah, question everything, essentially. And I know that's hard, because I also trust a lot of things, trust doctors, and it's hard to step away from it. I saw an old friend last week, and she had an accident, and in the hospital, they didn't want to they said, we can't give you ice, because she had an accident. She wanted to put ice on her to slow down the inflammation. And they said, no, we don't give ice. No ice, because someone left ice on their skin and burnt themselves, or I don't know how it worked. You go into hypothermia or something like that. So because one person did something, therefore everyone else cannot have ice. And that's kind of how a lot of things are operating, in this completely devoid of common sense, and just making these blanket decisions based on one event that affect everyone. And instead of ice can help so many people, and let's just do it judiciously, and they said, oh no, something bad happened with ice, therefore no ice. So that's kind of a good example of the lack of logic in the world. Just oh well. So has anyone here had UFO experiences, seen UFOs, seen ghosts? Because it's something that can be quite scary for people, and yet these energies are real. They're out there, and it's important to stay really grounded, to come into your body, and be really strong in your body, and realize that we are occupying this space, and other energies may come in. We can step away, we can have boundaries, and we don't need to get too influenced or stuck into those disincarnate energies. We can separate. And Kim, that would be great if you share some of your experience about many different experiences. So it is really a really interesting topic. And of course, it's different to talk about UFOs than ghosts, because ghosts are essentially were alive. They were in this human body, but now they died. They're out there, and they're not in a human body anymore. but UFOs, those are different, come from a different planet or something, and different dimensions, different planets. Very interesting. So Debbie used to work in the funeral industry, and a funeral director asked me one time, do I believe in ghosts? Because often people who work in those kind of industries experience a lot of people passing away and that seeing the spirits pass away. And nurses see a lot of that, where they see the spirit go into the light. They see the spirit leave the body. So it's just really interesting if you have been a nurse and you've experienced that. And it's just part of, a lot of doctors also see it, but it's part of the dying process, death and dying, where people's spirits leave, or souls leave their body. It's not your whole soul, it's an aspect of your soul that is going to leave the body. And different traditions also talk about how the soul enters the body, and where different parts of the body where the soul resides. For me, I don't feel like the soul is sort of in one part of the body. It's kind of an energy, like a little star, like a little star within the body. And in terms of entering the body, I'm not too sure that's important, but there are traditions in different traditions that discuss this. And Marky Hall Hobson, I have a question. I'm still trying to figure out, where does the soul go? Well, do you need to figure it all out? We don't need to know everything about everything. And, I know I'm very curious. I want to know everything about everything, but there's a few interesting, I would say that there isn't a direct answer to that question, because like we have this planet Earth, you can imagine in the spiritual world there's many well, even if you imagine planets, but there's multiple planets where you can go, where you can reside, where you can explore. And the idea of being limitless and infinite means to try and answer that question is sort of, it's sort of impossible, because it's such a vast, the possibilities are so vast. There is places that souls go to rest, that's for sure. There's also interesting, the idea of a soul fragment. So our soul, definitely, when I've gone to spiritualists and people within that realm, they say, well, this is a part of your soul. So the human body that you're in, it may have 10% of your soul. It wouldn't have 100% of your soul. So there's a place where souls go. There's like pods, and you go to your soul group, your soul family, which are like pods, and you can go there to rest. So there is sort of a repository for resting souls. But definitely there's so many people who know about what happens in the tunnel and the journey towards the light, in terms of when people are passing over, because NDEs are really common, where people have had near-death experiences and gone, they've died and then come back. And so Marky, what was the question? You just said you have a question. And where does the soul go? So it leaves the body and it goes through a tunnel towards the light. And then, depending on your soul's unique journey and history, there may be souls that come to meet you. There may be particular deities that come to meet you. Really depends on your own background, your own beliefs, your own soul journey. And some people have died many times. It's very smooth for them. They just know exactly where they're going, and it's all harmonious. They don't need a lot of support. Some people need a bit more support. It also depends on how traumatic the death is, because if a death is very traumatic, then it requires more support. For some people, they're 99 years old, 98 years old, and happens in their sleep. It's a bit more gentle and harmonious. But definitely, there are billions of galaxies and universes, and the souls never die. Yeah, so the vastness is hard for us to perceive. It's hard for us to imagine. And when we think of just the physical universe and we think how vast that is, so when we think of the universe of souls, when we think of that realm, it's also even more vast. It's the consciousness is infinite, never ending. So it's unimaginable what is out there, and really up to souls what they want and need to experience, what their calling is, what their soul family requires, what their guides. There's always a team of guides around, and what their guides are instructing them to go and explore or go and learn. So we have these guys. We have soul contracts that means we're here to learn and experience different things, and with different people. And definitely you would choose your own parents, you would choose your own family, choose your unique conditions and experiences from which to be born, choose the opportunities that come your way, the circumstances that you're born into. The stream travels together. Many, I think the near-death people know what happens. Yeah, so Debbie, everyone's experience is different. But there's a lot of common themes, like people going through the tunnel and having a past life review or life review, going through the experience of their life, but not just from your own experience, but from the other people involved. So how they experienced you, how they experience your actions. Kindness is always really important. So that's what they come back with, the insight of really important to be kind to other people. It's funny how I have so far only have been affected by one person's soul. I don't understand death. Well, maybe you're overthinking it. You're thinking too much about understanding death, because it's a transition. Monday goes to Tuesday, so it may be hard. I don't understand Tuesday, but it's just a transition. So a seed starts to grow, and it starts to sprout, and new buds begin, new life begins. And transitions are transitions. It's a change from one state to another state. The soul stays the same, so that doesn't change. So who you are as a soul is that you keep that, but all you do is you lose the body. So and then you can then animate as any form you like. You can still come out. Usually people appear at about age 30. That seems to be when people look their best, and the souls seem to gravitate towards age 30. So they take on the form of age 30. So it's really lovely if someone's sick and their bodies are failing them, and to relinquish the body, to let go of the body, really is quite liberating. And just to be a soul, because then you can be 30-year-old you can be 20-year-old you, and you can explore the universe with great freedom. But there is always guidance, and I've never seen a college course about this. Well, that's a good point, Debbie. Maybe we can change that. Maybe it's time to, because there's a lot of books actually that give a lot of insight into people's dying experiences, into going to the other side, into their experiences of the other side. And the guides are always around us. So Debbie works a lot with guides. So you have different guides. We don't just have one guide. Often people have a primary guide that will be with them throughout their lifetime, but it's changeable, and guides leave, go on holiday, go on vacation, and also a guide will come in for a particular purpose. So thank you, Kim. So maybe Kim is having a birthday and she wants to make a birthday cake, and she's just asking for guidance. Please help me, and I need to know how to make this cake. And then a guide will come in. A guide will come in and help her with that cake. So guides are known as angels and work interchangeably with angels. There are different entities or souls that are archangels, so ascended masters. It's there's all sorts of guides that come in. So you can call in Archangel Gabriel or Archangel Michael. You can bring them in, and they will give you guidance. They will come in for you. But our day-to-day guide or guides are familiar to us, familiar to our energy, and so you wouldn't be necessarily, you wouldn't always know that they're there, because you're kind of just familiar with the energy around you. The thoughts come into your head, but where does the thought come from? Where does that particular feeling come from? That guidance, that intuition. So they can be around, giving us a hand, just checking up on us. And Melanie says baking has never been my forte. So you can always call for guidance, Melanie. And I'm just catching up. Marky Hall Hobson. So you didn't send in a question. Sorry, I miss a lot of these. I miss a lot of the comments. So Melanie, all of the above. Oh, Debbie, have you ever watched Carl Sagan? Carl Sagan. I think a little bit before my time, but I have heard of Carl Sagan. I think I did watch something of Carl Sagan. I love the question about going to the moon. Melanie, all of the above. So Melanie, above my house are many portals in my yard, friendly mostly. Above my house are many portals. I used to work in the funeral industry. Yeah, I saw that. And Marky, okay, the soul never dies. Just catching up with the comments, sorry. The stream travels together many. It's funny how I have so far only been affected by one person's soul. Well, Debbie, everyone you meet has a soul or an aspect of soul. So any kind of relationship or communication you have has a connection to soul, to a soul, to an aspect of soul. So it's all there for you, and you have been affected, and you are being affected by souls. And right now you're being affected by a soul, and I see guides around you that are like, hello, what do you mean you haven't been affected? Melanie, or they get trapped. That makes sense. Only if they're an angel. I do that often, and even when I've lost something that I can't find. Yeah, I had a book called Cosmos, Debbie, I remember, and it was a beautiful book, Cosmos. I didn't really read it, but I kept it with me for a while. Sometimes I believe that books carry an energy, and we can just keep them with us and receive some of the wisdom from them. I've heard of people who put books under their pillow. They want to receive the wisdom from that book. I had portals in every room in my house, Kim says. I don't know what portals you had, Kim. I'm not sure what that means, but it's an interesting topic to think of portals. And I'm not sure if we're doing any readings today. I've come on really late, and but the power seems to be working, and the Wi-Fi is working, and And as I said to you earlier, I spent a lot of time trying to get the hot water for my tea, and it was that's why it took so long, actually, because the power, whenever I used the kettle, the power went out, and I tried other approaches to heat the water, and the power kept going out. So anyways, it's all just how it's meant to be. And interesting, Melanie, about crystals, because I do believe in crystals and their power to hold energy and hold knowledge. And of course, we use crystals in our technology. So in computers, for instance, we use crystals. So they're part of our technology, and crystals have this ability to hold knowledge and clear energy. And we can use them to assist us open up dimensions and portals, and there can be openings to other dimensions. Kim says spirit energy portals. Yeah, there's always, everything is webs within webs, interwebs within interwebs. Just like the chakra system, it's part of a greater system. The macro and the micro, it's all spinning around. So all fractals as well, entry points for spirit and interdimensional beings, etc. So that's really interesting, Melanie, and I would love you to share more, because I can feel you're very knowledgeable about that. Crystals vibrate. I guess it's iced tea for you that this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. So does anyone want some insights? It's been wonderful, your comments and sharings, and I feel like the dimensions have opened up just having this conversation, just talking about this. And often we see ourselves as separate, but we're not separate. We are connected, and we are influencing other people, affecting other people. So always remember that you are you're a glowing vibrational being that is affecting the environment, affecting the energy around you, and affecting people. So I know sometimes I get in moods myself. I'm not always bright and sparkling, and like I can be a bit impatient. I actually like things to go really quickly, so sometimes I want things to be really quick. It's really important to always be kind to people, always see the best in them, and realize that we're all learning. We're not nobody is here if they know everything and they're perfect. There's no such thing in this universe. We're in these physical bodies, and we're doing, everyone is doing their best, considering where they've come from, considering their consciousness. And it's so easy to judge until sometimes you just, I know in where I grew up in Africa, there was kids on the street, and you would always see them taking drugs, and they would look like really young kids, like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10. And those kids had no home, no adult supervision, very little food. They lived on the streets. So unfortunately, a lot of the crime ends up when these kids get to be teenagers. They were all part of gangs, and the gangs have initiations, and the gangs don't teach them any sort of values. But these kids go out at 15, 16, 17, whatever it is. That was where most of the crime was happening. So people, really, we look at crime, and we can, it really is awful, but we have to look at the cause. We have to look at the causes, and these kids are no one looking after them and living on the streets. And it's kind of, you may be, someone may do something terrible, and I'm not condoning that. And people, people do terrible things. So we just have to be, we have to realize that that person may seem terrible. They may be doing terrible things, especially with drugs, people get really lost. But there's a much greater story. There's a much bigger thing happening. So just consider that, and just give me one moment. So if anyone wants to read them, I'm just one moment. All right. Yeah, so I can just pick a card if someone wants a card. It's been really fun today, and I really enjoyed the conversation. I wonder how those souls end up coming into the world, into those conditions, if all souls choose it. Yeah, well, that's a great question, Kim. So definitely, definitely, that's a big topic of why people choose that experience, why people choose those conditions. But definitely, it is chosen. It is something chosen, and I do believe it is quite an eclectic time. The 20th century, the 21st century, it's really is quite something, because just consider that if you go back for thousands of years, the human population was a fraction of what it is now. And so things have really shifted, things have really changed. Okay, so let's just take a card. So what I'm saying is that there's an explosion of souls wanting to experience this world. So why is that? It's part of the changes we're going through, and it really is an upheaval, a transition, and it's quite chaotic. So we're in this chaotic energy, and souls just want to experience it. So it does seem unusual that they would want to come to experience those conditions, but maybe that was the only choice they were given. So the cards are really really positive cards for Debbie, for you, Debbie. It's looking like there's a celebration of victory. So take a bit of time off to recognize your achievements and acknowledge them and celebrate them. Actually enjoy them and go, wow, I'm gonna go and actually enjoy where I've come to. It's like I went to my graduation and we had this wonderful lunch and this wonderful dinner, and it was just a time of let's just enjoy. It's not a time of pursuing new goals, not a time of now I'm going to accomplish this, now I'm going to accomplish that. There these triumphs, these victories, and it's time now just to enjoy this, and see yourself as a success in many ways. So it's also how you view yourself, and just enjoy emerging into that energy. There is a little bit of a sense of looking over your shoulder, I would say looking over, a little bit of envy, looking over at how things can be. So it's like you're looking over at the garden. So there is abundance for you. So just recognize that your prosperity is growing and growing, and this card, in a way, it's saying that you need to just be safe, that you are protected. There is this abundance coming towards you. It's saying there's this this material abundance that's really fantastic. But you're staying in you're staying a little bit separate from it. You're in this garden, so there's a bit of a habit or fear of the unknown to some extent. So it's telling you that widen your spiritual perspective, acknowledge where you are, who you are, where you've been, and realize that you're much more than any of your achievements, and the universe wants to fill your life with beauty and joy and bring you into synchronicity and joyful abundance. But there is also a contract here. There is a contract that's so there is a contract, a partnership, something to be signed. So it's indicating a business deal. So I think there was I think you said before there was something to do with selling a home, but it's more than, it's not a casual agreement. It's a substantial contract, and this is saying it's moving in the right way for you. It's coming out in your favor, and keep affirming that you're attracting wonderful connections, bringing you happiness and abundance. So really, you're in the abundance, and it's important you stay in that vibration and celebrate that vibration and harmony, and acknowledge the spiritual aspects to that. And it is overall good cards for you. Thank you, Debbie. And I'm reading the comments. Okay. Anyone else have something to say? Any comments? Any readings? Definitely fearful. Oh, that's beautiful, Debbie. I am a realtor and a mortgage loan originator. I will stay humble forever. So many blessings. Thank you, Debbie. Stay in that flow and work your light. Keep working your light. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Well, if no one's commenting and no more requests for readings, then we'll have to leave. And so thank you so much for everyone for being here. And it was so great to read the comments, to see everyone's engagement and see what's happening for everyone. So Melanie is asking for a card. So we could do a card for you, Melanie. Okay, so there's a little bit of complexity for you, Melanie. I'm seeing quite a lot of complexity. It's like almost like there's a bit of deceit. There's some kind of deceit around you. There's a beautiful sun card, and the angel of balance is with you. So keep calling in the angel of balance to keep you living in harmony and balance. So this, as you care for yourself, the universe will care for you. So keep focusing on the angel of balance. what I said about there's some kind of manipulation, it's just a warning card. It's saying there's someone behind the scenes that is acting disrespectfully and towards you. And there could be a business dealing, work matter. It's just something like something happening, some deception happening behind the scenes. So so just be really careful with your personal belongings and with your withholding people that you honor by your side, and making sure things are stable. Often we do have people who are jealous or whatever it is, who underhand. So just be careful there. That's kind of that's important. But the Sun card is very strong. That's come out in the middle of your reading. That's the first card in this deck. The Sun. It's very creative, of course, and it's about new beginnings. So this card is really it's saying new blessings are coming in, new life is coming to you. So that indicates divine inspiration and personal growth. There's some kind of new project that's coming in. So visualize this strongly, and the blessings are coming in abundantly. Set your intentions and keep shining. But remember what I said about the angel of balance, to make sure that you keep harmonious, because it feels like you're burning both ends. You're doing too much, and you need to stay more centered. Honor your choices. Keep really balanced. This is just a reminder. Keep really balanced. Don't overdo it. Have an early night. Soften a little bit. Call up the angel of balance to center you. But overall, that's very exciting. And thanks for the bubbles, Kim, and thank you, Melanie, for coming in. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been really cool and really fun for me today. Thank you, Debbie, for coordinating and for all your hard work in the background, and for your patience for coming on late. And lots of love out there to you all. Let's just check. Have a beautiful day. The best day ever. How about that? The best day ever. So thank you, everyone.